cold as a razor blade, as tight as a tourniquet, like the skin on a dying man. I don't want a piece of the world. I want the whole world. I make my own rules because it's much easier that way. Trust me.
What's up, everybody? I'm Marcus D'Angelo, and we're back in the Snake Pit. And of course, we're here with the man himself, the master of the DDT, Mr. Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm just busting it every day, man. Every day I wake up, I pop out of bed, and I'm just ready to go. Such a good feeling, man. The last show we did with Kevin Sullivan was just so much fun to reminisce and to hear what he thought about my work was pretty freaking good, man. Pretty awesome.
Man, it was incredible having Kevin Sullivan on. And after doing all the research for that, getting to hear firsthand kind of what you guys experienced and did there,
Yeah.
just it's such incredible stories. Guys, if you haven't heard it yet, we call that episode The Devil Went Down to Florida. It was last week's episode. So please go out of your way to go and hear that one.
Yeah, you need to, man. It's worth the laughs.
No question about it. And Jake, today we did a little bit of a pivot. So yesterday, as we're recording this, you had asked if we could do an Ask Jake Anything. I said, yeah, sure. And so you actually went and posted on your social media. And this just goes to show just how popular you still are. It's under 24 hours. Literally hundreds of questions got asked.
Great.
And yeah, we're going to do our best to sift through as many as we possibly can.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's not waste any more time. We'll jump right in. All right. Hey, by the way, just a reminder, if you do have a question for Jake that wasn't answered here, tweet it at Snake Pit Pod on Twitter or to Jake. We'll do our best to include as many as we possibly can. So here we go. First question, Jake, is Patrick Kelly. One of my favorite matches of yours is the blindfold match from WrestleMania 7. The crowd was absolutely electric from bell to bell with hardly any bumps or action. It was pure wrestling magic. Do you think a blindfold match can work in today's wrestling climate?
Oh, absolutely. If you have the right two guys in there. You know, it's the idea of being blindfolded that makes it so damned interesting. I know that whenever the idea first came up, Martel was just frightened. He didn't want to do it. He didn't think it'd work.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't think it'd work at all. You know, he went to Patterson and said, please, Pat, I can't do that. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I can't think of nothing. And I unfortunately had been in Mid-South, and we had a blindfold battle royal.
A battle royal?
Yes. It was unbelievably chaotic. You can't imagine some of the shit the guys did to each other. And they were doing it to their own partners. You know, they didn't know who the hell they were grabbing or hitting or anything, you know. But it was pretty wild. So I'd had that experience, and I remembered how it got whenever it got down to the last two people. And now we're searching the ring looking for each other, and how easy it was and how electrical it was. And I'm like, let's do this, man. Hell yeah. The most money I ever made for doing nothing.
Man, it's such an iconic match, and something that I know that a lot of fans point to. I have to ask Jake.
Fans come to me and they go, man, I was hoarse from screaming at you. I said, yeah, but you were at fucking home, you dumbass. You know?
I do have to ask Jake, who was the last person in that battle royal with you?
Oh, I can't remember, man.
No, I know I knew it was a shot in the dark. That's really cool. And by the way, you know, the anniversary of that match is coming up. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about it. All right. Next up, we've got our pal Instagram, a wrestling historian, and he asks, was there ever talk about having a feud with Roddy Piper in the WWF? I'm shocked it didn't happen.
No, that would have been awesome, man. I would have loved to have worked with Roddy. I never got a chance to in all our time. You know, we bumped into each other a little bit here and there, and we even, you know, we went into the Royal Rumble one year, me, him, and Flair.
Yes.
And it was just so magical. It would have been great. I guarantee you it would have been great. And yeah, that's one we missed too. Another one.
Yeah, it's that's a huge what if in wrestling, and invariably, I always see fans asking like, "Oh, Jake," or saying Jake would have been great against this guy. Jake could have been great against this guy. So it stinks, but it is still kind of fun to fantasy book it.
Yeah, it's fun to imagine. I mean, I imagine things like Bruno Sammartino against what the hell was his name? Oh, I just forgot. Wow, King
Uh,
Curtis.
oh yes,
Imagine that back in their heydays.
boy, that would have been something.
Curtis was a huge man. He
Yes,
was 350, 370 pounds, man. And I can just see him doing all of his. Oh, man, he could chop you up in little pieces for sure.
man, and he would have made the perfect monster heel for Bruno.
Oh,
And
yeah, absolutely.
I have to ask, you brought up Bruno. I know that he was back in the WWF and he was working around like I want to say it was
Hmm.
86, 87. Do you have any stories about working with Bruno?
No, man, I never got a chance to get in the ring with him. That would have been that would have been on the A list
What about
for sure.
any behind the scenes experiences, or did he kind
No,
of keep to himself?
he kind of kept quiet and to himself. I talked to him from time to time, but nothing real deep or anything, just about wrestling. And he was a believer in wrestling. He didn't like all the glitz and glamour about it that Vince was putting to it, and the speed that Vince had changed. All the matches had speeded up, everything had speeded up. Ideas would come and go in 6 weeks, whereas in Bruno's day, you'd run an angle for 6 months.
Yeah.
But now they were being done in 6 weeks, and now they're being done in one television show. you know, they'll start an idea at the beginning of the show, and at the end of the show, they're through with it, which is such a waste, such a damned waste.
It is, and it's crazy because I remember like we were just talking about you and Martel. That feud lasted for I would say what at least 5 months, maybe even
Yeah,
6.
yeah,
And it was just like the perfect build up. And then, of course, you get the blow off at WrestleMania. I know we're in the age of instant gratification, but man, when you build something right, it makes it all the more sweet when it finally happens.
anticipation to the act. That's what it's all about. It's sort of like coming up with an idea and then
Look at
turning it
this.
into the real deal.
Look at this. So, for those of you who are only listening, come and check out our YouTube because you see stuff like this. Jake is holding up the little statue head made by the former Kazarni from WWE, Sin Bodhi, and that is available right now at jakethesnakeshop.com, and Jake will sign it for you.
Yeah, damn straight I will. Got a different colored one here. We got several different colors.
All different colors.
Whatever meets your fancy.
You've
We
got
got
some
all
that are like
sorts of
bronze.
things on the shop. That's what it's all about. Yeah, I got one here in bronze, man.
Man, just too cool. And yes, again, that's jakethesnakeshop.com. Any signs, everything. Get over there and check it out, guys.
Yeah, man.
Exclusive stuff. All right, next up, we've got Corey Craddock, and he asks, Bret Hart said in his book that the plan was for him to beat you at Survivor Series 1992 before your departure from the company. Is there any truth to that?
Not that I know of.
So it's just kind of piggybacking off of this. You've had some strong words for Bret Hart, especially in reference to the Montreal screw job. Did you and
Mhm.
Bret ever get sideways at any point while you were like
No,
living with him, or like in
no.
general, you like Bret Hart?
Like Brett, got along well with Brett, but we spoke our minds.
Mm-hmm.
There was no issue. There's no hate. I just disagree with what he did.
Yes.
It was bad for business.
It was, and a lot of fans nowadays point to something it's kind of become an online joke, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, but Bret Hart's career was essentially ended by Goldberg. Goldberg hit him with a thrust kick; it actually got him really badly. He had a
Yeah.
concussion, wound up leading to the end of his career. And to this day, Bret Hart, at any opportunity, it'll be like somebody's just talking about something else, and he'll just bring up, and Goldberg is just the fucking worst. Like he'll do that. He'll just bring him up out of nowhere. I want to ask. Here's just Marcus's question for the week. What were your thoughts on Goldberg? Did you ever get to see any of his stuff?
I got to see a lot of some of his stuff. I thought it was very strong. No doubt about that. I thought he was a little reckless, which is
Mhm.
dangerous. Um, it worked. It worked. And he's damn sure no worse than the Ultimate Warrior. For Christ's sake, he could do a lot more than the Warrior could, and a lot better doing it, and look better doing it, and more believable doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he damn sure had a better interview.
Yes.
But then again, so does my dog.
Yeah, that was certainly not Warrior's strong suit. And
No.
yeah, it's a lot of people
Go have it opened up.
watching some of them, it's like your head starts spinning, like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's excited, so I guess I'm excited.
That was the idea, I guess, but damn.
I guess. Corey actually had a pretty interesting follow-up question. He said, how would you have liked your character to have been portrayed differently in 1996? So if you had your way, how would it have gone?
It would have stayed the same.
Yeah.
Why change something when it's not broke? Jake the Snake was not broke, but they wanted to put me in those baby blues, man, because it's going to teach me a lesson. And I got it.
Yeah.
I got shoved down, but that's all right. They'd shove me hard as they want to down, but I still keep coming to the top. That's one thing they could never stop me with. They could turn me babyface, they could turn me heel, but no matter where they put me, I was still on last match.
Yep.
I was still in the main event. If Hogan was on the card, he would go on early and I would go on late. So what is that saying?
It says they need somebody strong to close out the show, and you were
That's it. That's it. Jake will make the people happy.
It is interesting that you had success in the WWF as a babyface prior, obviously, from '87 to the early '90s, and I just don't understand the mindset. Like, hey, let's alter this baby, like we'll bring him babyface, but let's make it like religious focused, and I don't know, it was just really strange.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It was Vince taking a shot.
See,
when you leave Vince McMahon and he's not the one firing you and getting rid of you, he doesn't like it. He holds a grudge. He's a grudge holding son of a bitch. And he'll take his time to get you too. He'll start doing little things, and then he'll graduate to maybe a Lawler throwing whiskey in my face and making a joke out of that shit.
Yeah.
They don't make jokes out of that shit anymore. And it should have never been done. Jerry Lawler himself speaks up about that, and it was horrible.
Yes.
To be asked to do it, and especially with where I was coming from. I mean, you're going to persecute me for being a Christian?
Right.
Really? Wow, dude.
And a Christian in recovery. A Christian in recovery.
Yeah. Trying to do the right thing, and let's humiliate him. Let's make it harder on him.
Inexcusable in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's such a shame. Next up, we've got Jeff Owens, and Jeff asks, what was the truth behind Savage and Hogan's relationship? So we as fans have heard for years that they had a roller coaster friendship. Did you ever see any of that behind the scenes, Jake?
No, I didn't. I didn't see any of that shit. I tried to keep away from it. I didn't want to hear about it. I don't like locker room chatter. Mm-hmm. It's okay to have fun, but when it starts getting real, and then you start with the underlying tones of what is real and what isn't, and maybe I should just knock the shit out of this fucking guy, or I didn't like the way he touched Liz. There was 2 or 3 instances where that happened, where Hogan would pick Liz up and put her on his shoulders and shit. And then there was a lot of stuff that happened away from the ring, I guess in Florida, that I understood that really stirred the pot a lot. But I don't want to get involved in anybody else's marriage, man. Jesus Christ, I screwed mine up bad enough. I don't need to help anybody else screw up their own.
Yeah, the whole situation, every time you hear about it, it's really bizarre. And Hogan maintains that he loved him the whole time, but man, just like such a weird, contentious relationship.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we've got Effin' Wrestling, and they ask, did Owen Hart ever get you good with a prank? I know that you talked about him blowing you up.
That was the only one that he got me with, man, was in the ring, which I don't totally agree with. I think there's a time and place for pranks, but it shouldn't be during a match, because basically he gassed me so bad that I couldn't do shit. I just had to sit there, which was pretty humiliating. And I told him about it afterwards, and he agreed that it was a bit too much.
Yeah.
But no, he never went after me. I had an ace in the hole with that snake, man. Nobody wanted that fucking snake thrown on them. So they pretty much knew if they fucked with me, you're going to get the snake.
Right.
And there's one time, in your life that you want quiet and you want, privacy. And that's usually when you're sitting on a toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I'm going to get you with that snake. And I'm patient about waiting you to have to go. But when you go, you'll go.
Man, I gotta ask, who have you gotten on the toilet with that?
Oh my God, several guys, man. Junkyard Dog. Oh God, let me think here. Jesus Christ. Neidhart. I thought he was going to kill me.
Probably not a guy you want to have pissed off.
No, it wasn't, man. That was Harley Race doing that shit, man. There were several others. Bruno Jr. He freaked out really big time. He freaked out huge.
You brought up Harley Race. I've got to imagine you've got some wild Harley Race stories. Everybody's got one or two.
Oh, he was a maniac.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially driving at night.
That's what I've heard.
He'd come up and ram your car doing 80, 90 miles an hour. He'll turn his headlights off, and out of nowhere you get hit.
Oh my God.
You're doing 85 miles an hour and a car hits you, man. That freaks you out.
Yes.
And oh my God, driving around him was just, don't do it. If he came up behind me, I'd just pull over. I'd pull over, put my car in park, get out and smoke a cigarette. Let him get on down the road. I don't want any fucking bullshit.
Man.
Because to me, driving 85, 90 miles an hour and playing bumper cars isn't real smart.
No, you can accidentally pit maneuver somebody and send them off the road.
Going flying through the air, twisting and turning. Hell no, man. But sure was funny.
Only in wrestling would a rib like that be
standard. Boy, did we laugh our asses off. When you were thrown from the car and you hit that tractor trailer that was sitting there on the side of the road, it was fucking wild.
Oh, you remember when you broke both your legs in that car accident?
Yeah, man. Hilarious. It was funnier than shit. Hey, you took 6 months off too, man. That was great. No pay.
Oh, God. Next up, we've got Benjamin Platt. He says, I was at a British Championship Wrestling event a few years ago and talking to a few of their guys afterward, and they all mentioned Jake as being a big influence when he was staying in the UK a few years earlier. I was wondering what Jake thought about the UK in general and the business over here.
Wow. Well, I was working for Brian Dixon, who's probably one of the worst promoters I've ever known.
The worst?
Worst.
Why is that?
Absolutely. Oh, he was just too much, man. I don't even want to go. I can't go into all of it. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. It's so bad. So bad. Oh, I don't even want to go there.
All right. You don't have to, but what did you think about working in the UK?
I loved working over there.
Yeah.
Once I got in the ring, I could do my match, but it's just all the bullshit and the way he had things set up, and it's just, makes me sick to even think about it. Ugh.
Now, were you training people in the UK as well? I feel like
I had a training school. Yeah. I trained a few kids over there. Unfortunately, one of my best students wound up committing suicide here about 3 years ago.
Oh, gosh, that's awful.
Yeah, it was horrible. Well, he had a head injury when he was wrestling. And I don't think he just ever recovered from it, and wound up committing suicide. Such a lovely, lovely young man, handsome, blonde hair. I really miss him.
Man, what a shame. What a loss. And, that kind of stuff it's scary, especially now that we're starting to learn more about CTE and professional wrestling and all those unprotected chair shots people were taking back in the day. So, man.
Yep. Not real smart.
No. So next up, we've got Ryan Chappelle, who asks, I would love to know some of your favorite WWF house show cities, venues that were too small for TV, but always had an awesome atmosphere. Loved watching WWF at the Pershing Auditorium in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, wow. That's a nice one. Omaha wasn't bad either, man.
Yeah.
There were some of the times that we went through the heartlands, whether it was Des Moines or Cedar Rapids, even, that people just really popped. They really, really were into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to a huge city and people aren't just not quite getting into it, But there were some big cities that got into it too, like Sacramento. Sacramento was huge, man. They would really kick it up a gear whenever you come to town. And we had a beautiful arena there. It held about 20,000 people. But then you go to places like, I don't know, Birmingham, where you get 3,000 people, man. But the people are so electrified, you'd think there was 20,000 in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go to, Jesus Christ, there's just so many places, man, that you can hit that. Even going to Canada, you go up to Canada, people just appreciate the shit out of it. You're going over to Newfoundland and places like that. And the crowds were just, be a handful compared to being at the Garden or someplace. But, man, the sound and the excitement and the love they had to give you, man, was just phenomenal.
It's cool, man, because, I think a lot of these towns, especially Midwest Canada, overseas, they don't see you guys often. So when you get there, they are just whipped into a frenzy, huh?
They are absolutely ready for it.
That is awesome. Now, how would you compare working in New York to working in Philly? Because I've always heard that the Northeast cities are just nuts.
Yeah, they are nuts, man. Both places are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had bad experiences in both.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I was in Philly, man, and I come out. I was a babyface at the time. And I come out to get in my car and I look, I'm like, that's not my car. Yes, sir, it is. Well, who knocked the windshield out of it?
Oh.
Who knocked all the windows out of it? What the fuck? And every window had been knocked out of it.
Oh, my God.
And they caught the guy and they took him downtown. So here I am. It's January in Philly. It's snowing. I have no glass. It's 11:30 at night, and I'm still at the Spectrum going, what the fuck? And then they tell me I have to go downtown to file on this guy. So I drove downtown with no windshield, went inside, filed. I said, I'd like to see this motherfucker,
Mm-hmm.
They said, see him? We can't keep people like that here. We only keep rapists and murderers here. We just had to charge him and send him home. Are you fucking kidding me? That's all that happened? Oh, he's here 15, 20 minutes. Are you shitting me? And the worst thing was I had to drive to New York that night. I had to drive 90 miles like that, man.
I was going to say, so not only do you have to take the time out to go downtown, it's 11 o'clock at night, but you've probably got to make another town.
Yeah, I had to drive to New York.
With no windshield.
Miles, no windshield.
Oh, my God. Just brutal.
Yeah, it was a happy time. Hee-haw.
You all bundled up as you're driving?
Oh, yeah, I was bundled up. I didn't know whether to go faster because the wind would just fucking kill me or slow it down. It's going to take longer. Oh, no, let's go faster. No, let's let it slow down. No, let's go faster. No, let's slow down. Yeah, it was pretty fucking tough, man.
Whew, not always glamorous, is it?
No, it wasn't, And if I'd had any smarts to my head, I would have just went out to the damned airport and got another car.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I do that? Because I don't know. I'm a stupid fucking wrestler, I guess.
Well, and I guess your options are you drive all the way out to the airport, probably double back, you kill another hour, or you get on the damn road and get up there to the next
Just
town.
get it over with.
Yeah.
I can spend an hour trying to get another car, or I can just go ahead and get there. So I went for the go ahead and get there.
True, man. At risk of sounding like I'm dumb, I probably would have done the same thing.
Oh, Jesus.
Next up, we've got Ron Scott. Ron asks, any good road stories of when you were traveling with Cheryl? I'm sure there were bad times. All relationships have them.
Oh, God, yeah.
What are the memories you have?
We had a really funny incident happen one time, man. We were headed to TV, and we had my little girl with us, Cody, who was like 4 years old at the time. And we drove there and we're getting stuff out of the car. Of course, you got a kid with you, you got extra stuff, you got, she's got all of her clothes. So she gets all of her clothes and she says, I can't find my shoes. What? I must have left them at the I don't know. I didn't leave them at the hotel. I said, no, I checked the room. You did not leave them at the fucking hotel. Where the fuck are your shoes? We looked all over that car. Well, the snake bag had been sitting in the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my daughter had been patting it and playing with it like that,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I go out and wrestle my match. Some job guy. And I take the snake bag and I dump it on top of him. And there are her fucking shoes.
In the
Holy
match.
shit. In the match.
Oh,
a pair of
God.
high heels fall out.
Was it TV?
TV, yeah. So I grab the bag and look in the bag like I'm looking for the rest of the girl,
Right.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that is amazing.
It was hilarious, brother. People shit themselves laughing.
So you said that you had your young daughter and your wife on the road with you. I mean,
Yeah.
how much of a difference is that for you as somebody who had been traveling with the
Oh, my
boys for all the years?
God. It was hell.
You were not enjoying it as much?
I enjoyed it, but it was really rough on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to be used to the road abuse that we did to each other, but to bring your wife and daughter who has needs, keep your eye on her all the time, make sure she's not, straying off or getting into something that she shouldn't be doing, or making sure nobody snatches her and takes off with her. And God dang, there's all sorts of shit that could happen.
Yeah.
Then taking your wife to the ring, knowing that somebody's watching your child in your back for you. Hopefully they're doing a good job of it. But then you got your wife in the ring and no telling what could happen out there.
Right.
She doesn't know how to protect herself. Or at least I didn't think she did. She kicked my ass pretty good.
I was gonna say she seems tougher than a $2 steak to me.
Yeah, she'll grab a hold of you. She's not afraid to do that. She'll shoot your ass too.
So now we always hear wrestlers say, hey, don't bring your wife around the business. It's bad for your marriage. Yeah, I mean, is that just because of like the women, the drug use, the partying? Like, why do guys say that?
Well, it's because your wife will see other guys cheating on their wives, and that gets pretty bad.
Gets them thinking about you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is this what you do when I'm not here?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty rough, man. There were a couple that hit really hard to home because the wife knew their wives really well.
Yeah.
They were good friends. Yeah.
That's a rough scene.
Yeah, it made it tough to breathe, man.
Yeah. So by the time you wrapped up with Cheryl, you were like, hey, I'm ready to be on my own now. That was fun, but that's enough of that.
It was tough, man.
Well, that was 35 years ago this year that you were on the road with Cheryl. It was 1988, and of course, the feud with Rick Rude. So we might have to have a chat with Cheryl here at some point.
Yeah, we'll do that sometime. I mean, I enjoyed being on the road with her,
mm-hmm.
but it was just the time around the business that was bad.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a pirate ship, and that is not a place you want to bring your wife.
No, absolutely not.
All right, next up, we've got Jared Oslowski, who says, I would love to know who you, as the best in-ring psychologist in the history of wrestling, that's nice, think has the best ring psychology in the business right now. I personally like Bray Wyatt.
Oh, Bray's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bray's wonderful. Yeah, no doubt. He's got a lot to do yet. Hopefully he'll give him enough rope that'll let him do it. But he's definitely making people think. And when you're doing that, you're twisting the right knobs. And
yes.
He's twisting the right knobs, man. He's freaking people out, even though we know it's not real. Here this guy is putting this shit together that makes you say, the fuck, this is real.
Yeah.
And that's when you know you got him. And he's got a lot of people. Other than that, I would say somebody like Danielson. as he gets in there and goes for 60, 70 minutes. He don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And his ring psychology is pretty damn good too.
No doubt about it. Certainly, Danielson. We're talking about two of the best in wrestling, Danielson and Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt gets compared to you an awful lot, and I certainly see it, the kind of cerebral promo style. Have you spent a lot of time around Bray?
No, just a few times. The one time we did get together, I gave him several ideas for some interviews, and he used them.
Really?
Which really made me feel pretty good. But I have the utmost respect for him, utmost respect.
So now we won't dwell too much on Bray, but I do want to ask, he's had a bit of a character transformation probably since the time that you were around him, where he was kind of the Wyatt family and sort of a cult leader type guy.
Right.
And now he's in like a horror gimmick.
Yeah.
What do you think of that transition for him?
He did it pretty well. Usually those transition things really suck, but his didn't suck so bad because he took some time off to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and it made the people want to see him back. That was the key. Make the people really beg for you to come back before you come back. Now you've got an excuse to look something different because that's why you were gone for so long. You had to let your body heal and let it become itself and all this stuff. It's great thinking, man.
All right, Jake, next up, we've got Jim Kivlin, who asks, what is your opinion of Ric Flair? Do you think he's the GOAT? I selected this one because, Jake, we touched on him a couple weeks ago. You were saying that Kenny Omega is one of the best in-ring performers you ever said. And when I brought up Flair, you were kind of like, yeah, no, not really. So a lot of people, especially from your era, point to Ric Flair and say, oh, he's the best promo. He's the best in-ring performer. What do you think it is that maybe doesn't make you feel that way?
I don't know, bro. I guess I just got tired of seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
A guy too repetitious, very repetitious in the ring about what he did. You've seen the same show a lot of times,
mm-hmm.
Same moves, always over the top, and wanted to be the life of the party. And that cost him.
All right, James L. Murrah asks, would love to hear a story about the Dallas Sportatorium. You ever work there, Jake?
Oh, God, yeah, man. The worst ring in the world. Oh, my God.
Worse than the old WWF ring.
Oh, yeah. Their ring was actually set in concrete.
Oh.
Yeah. And when the show's over, they'd roll the mat up, but those four posts and those pipes stayed right there.
Oh, God.
They were solid. Solid with capital SOLID.
Oh, man.
Brother, when you hit that shit, it was like knives going through you. Yeah, I have some memories of that damn ring. That's what the ring I was in when I got shot at. I was in the ring wrestling Sting. And some guy in the ninth row stood up, opened up his jacket, and pulled out a pistol and started shooting at me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, thank God he was a bad shot. He got 2 shots off before I was under the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm under the ring, and I keep hearing Sting up in the ring. Woo! What the fuck, dude? Keep that shit up, he's going to shoot you. But no, they took 2 shots at me, man.
Wow. So, obviously you were getting some heat. Have you ever had anybody come at you with like a knife or anything?
Oh, yeah.
You always hear about like Ole Anderson getting cut real bad. Did anybody ever get at you with it?
Oh, yeah. An old woman got me.
Really?
Yeah, about 75 years old. Cut me with a box cutter.
Ooh, did you? How many stitches?
Well, I think 35, 37, something like that.
My God.
Yeah. Surprise. I'm walking to the ring and all of a sudden my security's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? And I turn around and they got this old woman down and I think she's had a heart attack.
Yeah.
They're taking care of her. I'm like, dude, is she dying? They're like, no, man, she cut you. I'm like, what? She cut you. Look at your arm. I looked at my arm and holy fuck. So I put a boot to her.
Well, that'll teach her.
Just 2.
So see, yeah, you took it easy on the grandma.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, after getting cut, a couple boots is probably taking it easy.
Yeah, man, I didn't press charges.
Wow. Shannon Bell asks, can we talk about Peanut Butter Falcon? It was a damn good movie. Jake, what can you tell us about that experience?
Extremely fucking hot in Savannah, Georgia in the summertime, folks. Especially if you're in your tin building, a barn.
Ooh.
But doing the film was it was very, very easy for me to do.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but what a lot of people have to do 10 or 12 times, I just seem to have the knack of going out there and doing it either the first or the second time. It's just really strange.
Man, it's so cool to see you in that movie. I think it's available on like Tubi or Roku or something like that right now for free if people want to go watch it. It's a great movie and awesome to see you in it. And yeah, we brought up your acting career before. It would have been great to see you in some more stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to happen. We just did this big thing for exit of whatever it was called.
Out of Exile.
Out of Exile. And you got to see that.
Yes.
That's a real good one. And I had a pretty strong part in that. The piece that I did, I thought was really well. Again, I think I nailed it the first or second cut. They're like, you can't get no better than that.
One take Jake. That's what they always called you.
That was it.
And by the way, guys, that movie Out of Exile, it's available on demand now. So go and check that out on. I think you can get it on Amazon Prime and elsewhere. So check it out. Out of Exile. Next up, we've got Ed Heaney, and Ed asks, I know you hated the purple and green WWF tights, but what was the story behind the orange pants you wore prior? He's talking about your karate pants.
They weren't orange, they were red.
Right. I think this dude's TV was didn't have the right color.
Yeah, I think so too. They were red, man. I like the karate pants, man. They were loose fitting. I looked cool in them with the bell bottoms and shit, man. That was badass, bro. Had to slip on boots. I knew how to get ready. It'd take me about 3 minutes to get ready for a match. I go to the WWF. They put me in lace-up boots to my knees. Takes me 30 minutes to put my fucking shoes on.
What was it like going from like these kind of comfortable karate pants? All of a sudden, you got to squeeze into fucking spandex,
man. Because I hated spandex, man. I felt like a bitch. I really did.
No, just awkward. And what a weird change. But hey, I guess Vince had something right, man. It worked.
It worked. Yeah, it did work.
Jake, next up, we've got Rob Campbell. And Rob asks, do you have any stories about the genius sleeping Lanny Poffo? Of course, we recently lost Lanny. And what a shame.
Oh, my God. It's really sad, man. I spent a lot of time with Lanny in Mid-South.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few car trips with him and my father. But just a super nice kid. I say kid, we're the same age, whatever. But just super nice. I mean, he's a little strange, but how could you not be strange if Randy's your brother and Angelo Poffo's your father?
Right.
Christ, your father's got the record for doing setups, 6,000 and something.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I did 6,000 and something setups. Why? Because he could. But, they had some rough years together, some lean years. But by the time he got to WWF, he was doing the genius gimmick and the poems. And I had him in Madison Square Garden. And he came to me and he said, man, I want to do this new move I've got. I'm like, okay, what is it? He said, you'll be on the floor. I'm going to get up. I'll jump up on the top rope. And then I'll jump off on you and give you the double axe handles. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
He jumps up on the rope and slips and falls, driving both of his knees into my kidneys.
Oh no.
I was on my hands and knees when he hit me. I thought he'd killed me.
Oh, God.
It burned so bad. It burned like somebody stuck a hot iron inside my back, man. It just frying my insides. It hurt so fucking bad. I remember pissing myself too.
Yeah.
And when I got up, I was so fucking mad at him, man. I wanted to kill him. And I just grabbed him and I gave him a gigantic fucking hip toss. And this was before they put the pads down in the garden. So it was on boards on top of ice, you know. He hit with a thud. That's all I want to say. He hit with a thud.
And I'm sure afterwards he was like, okay, I deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely. He was good with it.
So, I mean, and I'm going to go ahead and guess you were pissing blood for a few days after that.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, man. It hurt for a while.
Really brutal. And next up, we've got Rick Aller. And Rick asks, who was the first opponent that made you starstruck or nervous when you got in the ring with them?
Oh, Jesus, man. Dusty. Christ, man. Back in the day, anytime I stepped in the ring, I was stepping in there with, you know, somebody that had 20 or 30 years experience. So they were all stars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but being in the ring with Dusty was a different thing.
Yes.
Definitely. I mean, he was just so charismatic. His name should have been Captain Charisma.
He was over like nobody else in pro wrestling, especially in the Florida territory. Just incredible.
Yeah. Down south, he was gold.
Yep. So Jake, between the snake name being borrowed from Ken Stabler and your Raiders inspired shirt, which is available now at prowrestlingtees.com, there's a lot of misconception out there. So let's clear this thing up. Rick Brocus asks, how did you become a Raiders fan?
Oh man, Kenny Stabler. You know, Jim Otto, Ted Hendricks. You know, the names go on and on, man.
Some pretty badass players back in the day, but
yeah, man.
The
Stork. The Stork.
The Stork.
Yeah, he was fucking killer. John Madden.
Gene Upshaw.
I can't remember the wide receiver. The wide receiver, they banned his shit that he put on his hands because there was so much on Stickum. He had a football hit him in the back and it stuck to his back. He couldn't even reach it. He couldn't grab a hold of it. It was stuck to his back.
That was Fred Bolitnikoff.
Right, Bolitnikoff, yeah.
Dude, just hilarious. But by the way, that was not the answer I was hoping for, Jake. I was hoping that you were going to say, I'm not a fucking Raiders fan. I'm a Cowboys fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan, brother. You know that. But the Raiders have a special place in my heart because that's where I stole the name from.
Yeah, and man, it was such a cool, iconic team. You can't help but like them. Especially in those days, tough as nails. A few more questions, and then we'll get out of here, Jake. Steve C. Davis asks, what's your opinion of strong style in Japan?
For those that like it, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Beat the shit out of each other. You know, there's no need for it. You know, the fans already know it's a work.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you beating the fucking shit out of each other? Because you can? You want to show somebody how tough you are? If you want to show somebody how tough you are, go out on the street corner somewhere. Pick a fight. You'll be all right. What the fuck, man? Don't put me through it. I'd much rather have a match where two guys are trying to perform and give me their very best. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To make it exciting other than go out there and just, I'm going to break his neck with this. Ha, ha, ha. This will really be good. You know, what the fuck? Grow up.
I think it's nuts because, you know, the whole idea is it's supposed to look like it hurts and not hurt. So it just wild. Jake, did you ever like anybody ever kind of pop you with a few and you got to fucking back them into the corner and say, hey, calm it down?
No, I just went ahead and fired that shot right away.
That would calm them down.
Yeah. Why wait for the second one?
So one's enough.
Yeah, if he's throwing one, you're going to get another one.
Man, we got to find the clip and put it up online of you in Mexico when you broke that guy's nose. We talked about it here not too long ago, but he was not selling for Jake, so Jake made himself. Yes, Jake went ahead and made himself.
It's somewhere down the line, man.
Yeah,
all right, bro.
I think it'd be a fun bonus. All right, let's wrap it up here. So Jake, our next episode is going to be dropping on February 21st, and that's a significant date. Why, you ask? Well, it's because it marks 36 years ago that you were struck by the honky-tonk man with that guitar in the snake pit. God. Not necessarily a fond memory, but it did ignite a really memorable rivalry that had a hell of a WrestleMania main event, or not main event, but a hell of a WrestleMania match following it involving Alice Cooper. So maybe some issues outside the ring stem from it too. We're going to talk about all of it next week when we talk about the news and notes from that era. And we're having yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about it. I know fans have been asking about it, so it'll be a fun episode. And we're having a great time here on the Snake Pit, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are. We've been posting about it on social media a lot, but in case you've been missing it, you can get your product or message on our podcast, much like Backyard Butchers and Jimmy's famous seafood, when you go to advertisewithsnake.com. If you're listening to this, there's a very strong chance that we're targeting the exact demo that you're looking to attract. So why not give it a shot, see what your results are like, and I think that you're going to like what our loyal listeners do. Again, go over there to advertisewithsnake.com and check and get your message in front of our huge network of listeners. We are constantly updating our merch over at boxygimmicks.com. We got probably at least 2 new items dropping every week, and it's awesome. All of it is kind of a love letter to the wrestling fans from the 80s and 90s. We've got some WrestleFest inspired stuff, some vintage looking Jake stuff. You just got to get over there and check it out. That's boxofgimmicks.com. If you have a question for Jake, you can ask it on Twitter at SnakePitPod. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@SnakePitPod. There's no better way to introduce somebody to this podcast. Get over there and check out a couple of the few minute clips so you can see what it's like. And next thing you know, you're going to be listening to every single episode dedicated. And you can also check out the archives from DDP Snake Pit and our archives. Now we build up a little bit. Also, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review on all podcast platforms. Make sure that you check us out on adfreeshows.com. We've got some cool stuff going on over there. It's just $9 a month to get all these shows early and ad free. Plus, Jake and I are going to start dropping some bonus episodes over there. We're going to be watching back some stuff that maybe, you haven't heard Jake talk about yet. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Get over there to adfreeshows.com and become a member. I promise you it's worth it if you're a wrestling fan.
I would like to see you get a hold of that footage for Mid-South, man, when I drop DDT Dark Journey.
You know what? I think that would be the perfect one, Jake. So maybe we'll make that our bonus this month. We can talk about you DDTing Dark Journey. Let's make that happen. So, hey, by the way, if you are not a member of Ad Free Shows, but you want an interactive experience with Jake, here's the best way to do it. Go over to cameo.com/Jake Snake, and Jake will hook you up with an unbelievable cameo experience. Right, Jake?
Absolutely, man. I love doing those things. I'll give you another time where I can actually have some fun with you.
Yep, he takes the time and puts a lot of effort into it. Go and check out the reviews if you don't believe me. They're awesome. Check Jake on Twitter at Jake Snake DDT, on Instagram at Jake the Snake DDT, and on Facebook at Real Jake the Snake. You can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on Twitter, and you can follow the podcast on all social media platforms at Snake Pit Pod. Jake, another one in the books, man. That was a really fun episode.
Thank you. Appreciate it, bud.
Thank you, and we'll see you guys next time right here on the Snake Pit.